Hi, what's going on everyone? It is a Saturday afternoon and I wanted to do a quick video or a quick tutorial, and we're going to be building this simple CSS spinner, and it's actually very simple to do. You can use a combination of HTML, CSS and just a tiny bit of JavaScript to build it. And I would like to also let you understand that the one that is actually spinning on the screen right now, there's no JavaScript attached to this. But however, if you want to see the one that I added a little bit of JavaScript, I want to open a new tab right now and I want to read. I think I actually called that to I called that timing.html. I want to open, and what this is going to do is that it's going to redirect after 3 seconds. You see that? It will redirect after 3 seconds. That's actually the one that I added a little bit of a JavaScript. If I click go back right now, it's going to go back there again, and if it spins 3 seconds, it goes to the success page. Okay, so I'm assuming that this is just a success page. You just have to wait for a few seconds for for the processing of the application to be done, and once it's actually done, it redirects you to the success page. Okay, so that is just what that is, and we're going to actually start off with this particular one. And you can also build this in such a way that you can get responses from an API, and once you get a response, depending on what you get, if you get a success, you can redirect to success page, and if you get something like an error, you can also redirect to an error page. Okay, but I did not build it up to that level on this particular project. I just wanted to do something really quick and simple. All right, so without wasting much time, I'm going to have to close this out. I'm going to focus on building this one first of all, and I think it's even important for me to actually close this, so we'll have an empty tab right now. So let's create a folder for the application. So on our desktop, what I'm going to do right now is to create a new folder for this, and I should basically call this something like CSS spinner. So let's call that CSS spinner. And if you don't want to actually call this spinner, this can actually be called something like a preloaders. Okay, so it's used for most of the websites that you have to wait for, maybe to get a response from an API, or you just want your user to actually exercise a little patience for the contents of the application to be fully loaded. All right, so without wasting much time, what I want to do right now is I want to open this folder up with my Visual Studio Code. So for that reason, if I open up my Visual Studio Code, which is the environment I want to use in creating the application that I want to create right now, and I want to go ahead and then drag this particular folder and then open it up right here. Okay, so that has been opened, and we can go ahead and then create the files that we need inside of this. So the first one is going to be index.html, and let that be opened up. And I want to generate our basic HTML boilerplate. I'm going to press exclamation and then hit tab, and it's going to generate this boilerplate, okay, which you can just go ahead and change the title right here. So let's call this simple spinner. Let that be simple spinner. And within this place, I'm going to just enter just a single line, and that's going to be in the div. Okay, so this is going to be div, and let's give this a class. So let this be called a spinner. Let's go ahead and then give that class name. We'll call that spinner, and let's close out this particular div. And we don't have to enter anything within that div. That's actually the place that our what is it called? That particular object that is actually spinning within the web page. That's actually where it's going to actually be shown. Okay, so for instance, if you open, I want to open this up immediately. So let's say if we go to let's go to the desktop and open up this file, because we have it right there already. So this is the file I just created, and if we open it up, you see that it's actually empty. Okay, so there's nothing in there right now. Then we're going to have to create something like a CSS file right now, and we'll begin to work on our application from there. So I'm going to just say style .css, and it's going to open up, and I want to write quite a few lines of a CSS code right here. The first thing I actually want to work on right now is just going to be the body, so I'm going to have to do quite a few things. So let's say that the body right now, we're going to have to give this we want to display, the first thing we want to do is to just display everything that's going to be coming in that particular place. We want to make that display as flex. Okay, so I'm going to just say display flex, so that anything that comes into that particular place will be on the same line with the rest of the content that we have in there. I want to set a couple of flex properties right here. So the next thing I want to do is just say something like justify content, and I'm going to just center the content right there. And after that, I need to add the alignment. So I'm going to just say align items, and I'm just going to say center right there. So this is going to be center. And after that, I'm going to just say height, and I want to set the height. Let's say that the site is going to be something like, the height is going to be something like VH, like that. Okay, that's viewport. It's going to take the whole height of the screen. And after that, I'm going to just set a margin, which I should basically set to, let's say this is going to be 0 pixels. And after that, you can set a background, which we can actually go with any background I want. So in our own case, hours was actually yellow. So I'm going to have that in there like that, and if I refresh, we're going to see that background come in. And okay, that is not actually in. Probably the reason is because there is no relationship between this particular CSS file right now and that of the HTML right there. So for that reason, if you go to your HTML, you want to go ahead and include that particular CSS. So let's do that just before the header right here. So I'm going to just say, so this is going to be link well for relationship, and I'm going to go ahead and then set that to style sheet. So this is going to be style sheet, and after that we are going to include another parameter which is called href, and that's actually going to designate the location of that particular file. So in our own case, it's actually called style.css. So I'm going to just say style.css, and we can go ahead and actually close out this right here. And if we save and then go back to our browser and let's refresh, if we refresh this right now, I think this is a different browser anyway. So let me go back to the browser that I just opened before now, which is this. So if I refresh this right now, you see that the background actually comes in, and we can actually take this development further by going back to our CSS. And next thing we want to work on right now is going to be the spinner. So to reference to the spinner, which has a class name of spinner, I want to just say dot spinner, and then throw in some styling for it right here. And the first thing I want to do with the spinner is to actually set borders. Okay, so I'm going to just say border, and what I'm going to do with the borders is that the first thing that I want to set is that I'm going to set how thick the border is going to be. So this is, I'm going to decide the thickness of the border, which is going to be 4 pixels, and after that I'm going to decide the border type, and I'm going to just say something like solid, and we can actually decide the color for it right here, and I'm going to put the color. For instance, if I just say something like let's say this is going to be white, so let's just type white right here and then save that. You're going to notice that if we refresh this page right now, you see that there is an object that actually shows within this place right here. You can see something like a white dot, okay, a white square to be sincere. So we have it right there. And what I actually want to do to that particular place right now, for instance, I want you guys to actually see that very well by setting a width and a height for it, because it's a kind of so small that you cannot actually see it right now. So let's say that this is going to be something like 70 pixels, like that, and let the height also be the same thing, something like 70 pixels. So that's going to give us a perfect square right now. So I'm going to save this and then refresh the browser, and I see that that's a little bit kind of a big, so you can see it very well right now. Okay, so that's just what we're going to turn this into something like a circle at a later time. Okay, but before I actually do that, let's go ahead and do that right now. So to do it is actually not very hard. It's a very simple thing. You can just enter a single line, you call that something like radius. So this is going to be radius. It's actually called border radius. So let's make sure I type that correctly. This is going to be border dash radius, and that's actually going to be, you should set that to something like 50 pixel, not pixel but percent. Set that to 50% this time around, because if you set it to 50 pixel, this is what you're going to get. Let's save that, and then if we refresh, you see that it's actually circle, but it's not going to be responsive in most cases. Okay, so for that reason, I actually resolved to setting it to percentage so that it can actually look good in every application. I mean, every device, like mobile devices. So if you save this right now and you go back to the browser and you refresh, you see that you still get the same result, but it's going to always be responsive on all devices. So we'll have that here right now, and if we have that in that place, the next thing that we actually want to do right now is that I want to do right now is that I want to comment this particular line out. And the reason why I want to comment that out, I'm going to let you know as we move along. So this is going to be this way, and we'll have it now to be a square. You see this particular line, this left hand side of this particular square, I want to change the color. Okay, I want to change the color of that place, and if I want to do it, I can actually do that right maybe underneath this particular border. Let's just say something like border left. That's going to be a border left, guys. Let's change that border left color, and the color that I want to give to that, we can just do something like, let's say this is going to be harsh, and we can say something, if we want to give it a white color, that's fine. But what I'm going to do right now is something that is actually not completely white and not completely black. Okay, something brownish in color. I'm going to give that particular color, and if I refresh this right now, you notice that this now has a different color, and that's actually the color that I want to use to actually be spinning around this particular object when I turn it to something like what is it called, a circle, a perfect circle. Okay, so if I go back right now and maybe comment this line out, and let's remove this and save this right now, and then refresh this page, you see the way that it's actually looking right now. So that shows that once we start spinning right now, this black part of it is going to be moving around this particular object that we have actually created right here. Okay, and we can also decide what color that could be, even the background that we're having here. If we don't want this to be white the way that it is, we can actually do that, okay? And we can do it right here. Okay, let's say for instance we don't actually want that, so we can just reduce the, what is it called, right here, that we can change the color here. And not only changing the color, we can even decide the brightness of that particular color. So for instance, we're going to just use something like RGBA, and I'm going to put that in quotes, in brackets. And between this bracket, the first thing I'm going to enter right now is going to be, I'm going to enter 0, 0 again, and then 0. So that's almost a black color, right? And if we refresh, you're going to notice something right here. You see that that's black color, and it's darker than the first one. However, what I want to do right now is going to be very simple. I want to make sure that that becomes fainty, okay? And if you want to make that become faint, you can enter a fourth parameter right here, which is actually this particular one that has an A right here. That's all about the opacity. Okay, so to reduce the opacity or increase the opacity, you can do that anyway. So what I want to do right now is to make it a little bit less pronounced. Okay, so I'm going to reduce that to 0.1, and if I save that and then refresh, I'm going to notice something right now. See that the rest of the thing that we're having here, we just reduce the opacity right now. Okay, so in such a way that when this is actually moving, I'm going to be seeing that opacity beneath that, okay, beneath that particular black color that we have in there. All right, so that's just how to create the circle itself, you know. And if you want it to begin to animate, it's actually very simple. You can actually do that using what we actually call animation. Someone just say animation. So let's just go ahead and say animation right there, and we can go ahead and then say spin. And in 1 second, we're going to have to tell it in 1 second we want it to be able to spin. And what's the type of spinning that we want it to be? We want it to actually be linear, just like that. And if you close this right now and you think that if you refresh this web page, that's actually going to start spinning, you notice that that's not actually going to be spinning. And that's because we need to actually still add some other parameters, and that's going to be the keyframes, okay, from CSS3. Oh, down here, if I do something like at keyframes like that, what I want to do with this keyframe is this is a name for the animation that we want to do. So we're going to have to copy this name, then place it right here. And what we want to do with that is very simple. Let's just first of all enter our curly bracket right here, and I want to tell it to actually rotate at 100%. And to do that is actually very simple. And most people like the convention goes that you have to set it at a 0 degree first of all, or 0% degree first of all, before setting any other thing. So I'm going to first of all, if I say 0% right now, and let's enter a curly bracket right here, and let's just say something like transform. So we have transform right there, and you can just say something like rotate. That's the value. We're going to just say rotate, and what is the degree that we want it to actually rotate. So in our case, we can just say something like 0 degrees, like that. That's DEG this way for 0 degrees, and we are going to have to terminate that line. However, I'm going to just copy this right now. But if you save this as the way that it is right now, if you actually save that and check your browser, you're going to notice that this is not actually going to spin. However, if you want it to start spinning, I'm going to paste this and then tell it to spin at 100%. So I'm going to just enter 100 right here, and then save that, and this alone should be able to make that spinning start. So if I save and then refresh this web page, you notice that that is not actually spinning, but we need to find out where that error is actually coming from. So I expect it to start spinning. All right, I think I've actually seen where the error is actually coming from. See, we're still telling it to spin at 0 right here. Instead, what we need to have here has to be 360 for it to be spinning all around. So if we just say something like 360, and we'll save that, then if we go back to right here and we click on refresh, we're going to notice that that is actually going to spin. You see that spins 360 and it stops. 360 and it stops. Okay, you can also decide if you don't want it to get up to 360, if you want it to go to something like 180% or degree, you can also decide that. So if it spins for 180 degrees, it's going to stop and then jump back. See that? All right, so but what we want is for it to actually keep on spinning, okay, for 360 degrees, and that's just what we're going to leave that at. So it spins all around and then it stops, all around and then it stops. And you can also change the speed at which it's actually spinning. You can do that right here. So if you want that to take like 2 seconds to complete that spinning, you can change this to 2 seconds. Save that and I'll refresh and watch. You see that it moves slower now. You see that it moves slower. However, what we want is that let us just make sure we turn this to one second. It should be able to complete the cycle 1 second and then keep on rotating that way. So for that reason, if you want this to actually keep on rotating the way that it is right now, if you want it to keep on rotating, you need to enter an extra parameter right here. So let's go ahead and then do that right here. So you are going to have to enter another word or value right there called the infinite. So this is going to be infinite. If I save that and then go back to my browser, refresh that, we're going to notice that that's going to keep on spinning at an infinite situation. You see that? It keeps on spinning non-stop. So that is just that on how to build a spinner right here. So I just want us to take this to a different level right now. And for that reason, I'm going to just copy this page and then create a new page. Maybe just something like a timing. Let's just call this timer or timing. Yeah, I think timing should be the right word. .html like that, and we'll have that opened up, and I'm going to paste that right here. And what I'm going to do is that I want to add a tiny bit of JavaScript down here. All right, so before I actually kind of add that, I want to go to my browser. And what I want to do, I want to copy this right now and then go to a new tab, paste that right there. And I want to go to the file that I just called timing.html. So this is going to be timing.html, and I want to open that up. And I want to notice that it's going to just keep on spinning like the other one. Okay, that's because we have not even edited anything. But what I want to do with this is that if it spins for 3 seconds, I want it to redirect to a different page. So that's what I want to do. And we're going to have to use JavaScript to do that right here. So let me add a comment in here. Let's first of all enter our JavaScript. What is it called? We need to enter the script right here. Yeah. So let's just do that. We're going to just say script, and you can go ahead and then close that thing right here. So this is going to be script, and we'll have our JavaScript open and closing tag open right there. And I want to put a comment right here, and let's say something like display the spinner. Let's say for 3 seconds. Just like that. And then to do it is actually very simple. I'm going to use the set timeout function right here. This is a built-in function from JavaScript. All right, so let's make use of that function called set timeout. So I will just say set timeout, and within this set timeout function, we need to create another function which we're going to just call function. And this is just basically a callback function. So we're going to just say function, and we can go ahead and enter our parentheses in there or curly braces. Let's make sure we terminate this line so that we don't forget it at a later time. So this is what it is right now. And what I want to basically do is actually very simple. Let's just make sure I'm going to introduce a comma right here, and I'm going to need to actually tell this particular JavaScript to be able to animate whatever that I want it to animate within just 3 seconds, and after that I want it to redirect. Okay, the redirection is actually going to come in here, which we can use a JavaScript object called the window like this. So this is going to be window.location. So if you say window.location, you're going to just say .href, and where that is going to go, this has to be placed within this href, and we're planning to make sure that that goes to a page that we haven't created, but we're going to just call that success. Let's just put the page in here, success.html like that, and we should terminate this particular line right now. But then down here we need to actually decide how many seconds that is actually going to spin before it goes ahead to redirect. Okay, so we're going to just say 3000 like that, and that's just what 3 seconds means in milliseconds. So if you want it to spin in 3 seconds, you're going to have to enter 3000 right there. So if you want it to spin like 5 seconds, you enter 5 right there. So that's going to be 5000. If you want it to spin for 2 seconds, you just enter 2000 right there. So I want it to just spin for 3 seconds, and then it's going to execute this particular line by redirecting us to this page called the HTML. Success.html. Okay, so let's save that, and if we go to our browser right now, and let's say we'll refresh this page, and let's watch and see whether it's going to redirect. And that actually redirects to a page called success.html. So the next thing we need to do is just build this particular page. So to build that, we can go back to our environment and then click on that, and then just say something like success.html. That's now the new page. I want to copy what we have in here. Just want to copy everything we have here, put it in that place, and I'm going to take away the JavaScript code that we have right here, even take away this spinner right here. Okay, so what I basically want to do is just enter something like a paragraph in here. So let's just go ahead and call that p tag, and you can just say something like success, close that p tag right there. And we also have the power to maybe include something like a href, a link to go back to the page, to the previous page. So we can just say href like that, and we can go ahead and then enter the page that we want it to actually go back to, which in our case is just going to be called a timing.html. And we can go ahead and then close the a tag in here and just say something like go back like that, and we can close the a tag like that. And we could, however, write a little css for this. So to do that, right now we can go into this place. I want to center the text, so I'm going to just say text align. So let then go back to our browser. I want to refresh this page, and this is how it's looking, guys. So if I click go back, It's going to take me to this page, and after 3 seconds, he's going to redirect to this particular success page again. It says success, your order has been processed. Okay, so, and I'm not sure actually if I actually typed this Roboto, this font family very well, so you can do your research to be sure that this is actually correct. Okay, but this is basically how to build a spinner. Okay, and like I said before, you can build the one that has to do with it has to fetch. Once it gets a response from an API, it can go ahead and redirect to your success page. And if it does not actually get a response from an API, it can actually take you to a certain place. Okay, but for this one, this is, let's say for instance, a page that you know how many seconds it actually takes to be able to deliver something. You can put this in that. So if the page actually redirects, let's say within 3 seconds, you can actually use this particular spinner that we're having here, okay, to redirect the person. So thank you guys for watching, and then I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.